Welcome to English Easy Hub. Join us as we ignite the flames of your English learning journey together.
Please subscribe to watch and embark on your English learning journey. Don't miss out on the exciting content. Mastering English isn't just about studying. It's about integrating the language into daily life in a natural and consistent way. This conversation explores practical and effective strategies to make English a part of everyday routines. From self-talk and shadowing to active listening and writing, these techniques help develop fluency, improve pronunciation, and build confidence in speaking. Whether you struggle with thinking in English, understanding fast speech, or expressing yourself clearly, these methods provide a clear roadmap to long-term progress. By immersing yourself in English daily, you can transform passive learning into active communication skills.
Good morning, teacher. I've been thinking a lot about my English skills, and I feel like I'm not practicing enough. I know that regular exposure is key, but how can I effectively integrate English into my daily life?
Good morning, Simon. That's a great question, and I'm glad you're actively thinking about how to improve. The key to mastering English isn't just about studying. It's about making English a natural part of your environment. The more you interact with the language, the more it becomes second nature. One simple but powerful way to start is by switching your phone, apps, and computer settings to English. Have you ever considered doing that?
No, I haven't. But will just changing the language settings really make a big difference?
Absolutely. Think about how often you use your phone, probably dozens or even hundreds of times a day. By setting it to English, you're exposing yourself to useful vocabulary every time you check the weather, reply to a message, or use navigation. Instead of learning words in isolation, you'll see them in real-life contexts. This kind of passive immersion is powerful because it reinforces learning without requiring extra effort. It also helps you get comfortable thinking in English rather than translating.
That makes sense. But I feel like passive learning alone isn't enough. What can I do to actively practice speaking?
You're absolutely right. Passive learning is useful, but active practice is what transforms knowledge into fluency. One of the best ways to do this is self-talk. You can start by narrating your daily activities in English. For example, when you wake up, say, "I'm getting out of bed now. I need to brush my teeth." When you're cooking, describe what you're doing. "I'm chopping vegetables. Now I'm heating the pan."
You mean I should just talk to myself in English throughout the day?
Exactly. It may feel strange at first, but it forces your brain to think in English and improves your fluency. It's like having a constant conversation with yourself. If you want to take it further, try asking yourself questions. What should I wear today? Is it cold outside? What do I need to buy at the grocery store? This method helps you build the habit of thinking directly in English rather than translating from your native language.
That sounds practical. But what if I don't know the right words for something? Should I pause and look them up?
That depends. If it's a key word that keeps coming up in your daily life, then yes, take a moment to learn it. However, if you're in the middle of speaking, a more effective strategy is to practice circumlocution, describing the word in English instead of stopping to translate. For example, if you don't know the word refrigerator, you can say the thing that keeps food cold. This forces you to think in English and improves your ability to express yourself with the vocabulary you already know.
That makes sense. But pronunciation is another challenge for me. Sometimes I feel like my accent is too strong, and I struggle with certain sounds.
That's a common challenge, and one of the best ways to improve pronunciation is shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker, whether it's a podcast, YouTube video, or audiobook, and immediately repeat what they say, mimicking their tone, rhythm, and pronunciation. It's like training your mouth to produce the sounds naturally.
That sounds difficult. What if I can't keep up with their speed?
Good question. If the speed is too fast, start with slower content, like English audiobooks for learners or TED Talks with subtitles. The key is to train your ear first. Listen once just to understand, then listen again while reading the transcript, and finally try shadowing. At first, it's okay if you only repeat short phrases, but over time, your brain and tongue will adapt, and your fluency will improve significantly.
That sounds really useful. But I also struggle with writing. Sometimes I have ideas but don't know how to express them clearly.
Writing is an excellent way to organize your thoughts and reinforce what you've learned. The key is to write regularly, even if it's just a few sentences a day. One of the best exercises is keeping a journal in English. Write about your day, your thoughts, or even your future goals. If you find journaling difficult, start with short, structured exercises like summarizing a book, movie, or news article.
I like that idea. Would it help if I posted in English on social media?
Absolutely. Posting in English is a great way to make writing more engaging because you're using the language in a real-world setting. You can start small, maybe just a sentence or two about your day or a question to encourage conversation. If you want more structured feedback, you can also join online forums or language exchange groups where people help each other improve their writing.
That's a great idea. Speaking of engagement, how can I improve my listening? Sometimes native speakers talk too fast, and I can't catch everything.
Listening can be challenging because native speakers use connected speech, contractions, and slang. The key is to practice active listening. Instead of just passively hearing English, listen with a purpose. First, try to understand the general meaning. Then replay the audio and focus on key words and phrases. Finally, listen again and write down what you hear. This three-step approach trains your brain to process English more efficiently.
So I shouldn't get frustrated if I don't understand everything at once?
Exactly. Comprehension improves over time. Another helpful trick is to expose yourself to different accents. Listen to interviews, movies, and even casual conversations. The more variety you hear, the easier it will be to adapt to different speaking styles.
That makes sense. But sometimes I feel nervous speaking with native speakers. What if I make mistakes?
Mistakes are a natural part of learning. Think about how children learn a language. They make mistakes all the time, but they keep speaking, and eventually they improve. The key is to shift your mindset. Instead of worrying about mistakes, focus on communication. Even if you make errors, as long as the other person understands you, that's a success.
I guess small daily conversations will build confidence over time. Do you have any tips for thinking in English?
Yes. The biggest challenge in thinking in English is breaking the habit of translating. To do this, train your brain to associate English words with concepts rather than with your native language. For example, when you see a chair, don't think of the word in your native language. Just think chair directly. You can also try asking yourself daily questions in English and answering in English.
That's really practical. One last question: how can I make sure I stay consistent?
Set realistic, measurable goals. Instead of saying, I want to get better at English, break it down. I will practice shadowing for 5 minutes a day, or I will write 3 sentences in English before bed. Tracking your progress and rewarding yourself when you reach milestones can keep you motivated. Learning a language is like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
That sounds really motivating. Thank you, teacher. I feel like I have a clear roadmap now.
I'm glad to hear that. Remember, progress comes from consistent effort. Language learning isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. Keep practicing every day, and you'll see incredible improvement. Keep going, Simon.
Fluency in English comes from consistent, meaningful engagement with the language. By incorporating English into daily activities, whether through self-talk, journaling, shadowing, or real-life conversations, you train your brain to think in English naturally. The key is persistence over perfection. Making mistakes is a natural part of the learning process. Small, regular efforts lead to steady improvement, building confidence and fluency over time. With the right mindset and structured habits, English can become second nature, allowing for seamless and effective communication in any situation.
Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share to keep the English learning journey alive.